Good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday the 13th. That's right. It's August 13th, 2021, and it's Friday the 13th. I'm hoping you had some good luck today. Anyway, welcome to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse, and we are brought to you by Investor Schooling. That's right. You can go to investorschooling.com right now, RSVP for a free class, and you can learn everything about the stock market, everything about real estate investing, everything about money. That's investorschooling.com. All right. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. The first thing is that you should know is there are more records broken today, which is awesome, the Dow and the S&P. Consumer sentiment has fallen. A federal judge decided on evictions, and we're going to talk about that. That's pretty important, especially if you're a real estate investor. Federal tax credit was deployed today. There's a lot of unemployment fraud. Let's talk about that. COVID vaccine job mandates. And here's an interesting one because we are a financial show. I wanted to bring up the Taliban and Afghanistan, and we'll talk about that in a little while and why. And of course, some of my all-time picks. So first of all, let's get right into it. The Dow Jones and the S&P hit records today, and actually, just so you know, the Dow actually finished up 15 points, but at one point it was up over 100 points today to break a record of over 35,600, which is not bad. And again, I've been saying this for the last couple of days. I see 30. First of all, I see 36,000, no problem. I see 40,000 in the horizon, probably in the next 9 months, maybe possibly a year, but it will definitely happen. It's definitely one of those things that's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen after that, but it's definitely going to happen. The S&P actually squeaked out a slight gain today. Actually, it broke a record at 44.68. All right, let's get into talking about some of the greatest stuff that's going on today. Oh boy. Consumer sentiment measures fall. Now, this is important. The University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index tumbled to 70.2 in its preliminary August reading. That is down more than 13% from July's result of 81.2 and below the April 2020 mark of 71.8%, which was the lowest in the pandemic. So basically what's happening right now, it's not many points lower, but it's the lowest point that we've hit in the consumer index in the entire pandemic is now, not in April. It's now. Now, this could be a problem. It could not be a problem, but of course, this is being caused by the Delta variant, and it's confusing people. Over the past half century, the sentiment index has only recorded larger losses in 6 other surveys, all connected to sudden negative changes in the economy. Richard Curtin, chief economist for the University of Michigan Surveys of Consumers, said in a release. 2 of those larger month-to-month movers were April 2020 amid the pandemic and October 2008 during the financial crisis. Now, I'm going to tell you that these, in my life, were the 2 worst financial crises I've seen, and now consumer sentiment is actually moving down to that point. Now, I do have to say that the Consumer Sentiment Index is just one preliminary data point, and other recent economic data points, including weekly jobless claims, have pointed towards a continued economic recovery. My thought on this is that this is just a little bit of fear people are having. They don't know how to answer the question. I believe it's more about not knowing how to answer the question than it is the actual question. So I'm going to say to ignore this for now. We will see how the Delta variant affects the economy, but I'm actually going to say that we should really ignore the consumer sentiment at the moment. It doesn't mean don't be consciously aware of what happened. Just ignore it because I believe it's not going to affect the economy as it normally would. All right, let's go into something else. A federal judge decided on the eviction policy. Now, we know about the eviction moratorium, and we know that it's been extended to October 3rd in certain areas, and it's been extended to October 3rd in certain areas that have high transmission rate of COVID. Now, right now, transmission rate of COVID is super high because the Delta variant apparently moves faster than the Alpha variant and all the other letters in between. So it's moving very fast. A federal judge rejected on Friday a request by landlord groups to block the CDC and prevent new eviction moratorium. the biggest problem I have with this is, who is the CDC to say that there should be an eviction moratorium or not? I have no problem with them recommending it. That's okay. But they have no right to dictate it. However, it is what it is. The decision by Judge Dabney Friedrich of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia is a win for the Biden administration. More than 11 million Americans remain behind their rent, moving the CDC to issue a new eviction ban earlier this month after its previous one expired on July 31st. You know, even this article doesn't understand that the eviction ban that the CDC is trying to rule is it's not about whether you're going to be thrown out of your house or not because you can't afford to pay the mortgage. It's about, the rent. It's about whether if you are thrown out, you're going to have to move in with somebody and you may spread COVID. That's what the CDC is saying. So even the people who write these articles don't even understand it. The ruling was on technical grounds. Friedrich said the court's hands are tied by an earlier appellate ruling to keep the moratorium in effect. She said the plaintiffs could challenge the policy with D.C. Circuit. I bet they will. Also, the Alabama landlords who made the request will probably appeal. So once again, it's a complete joke. The administration believes that the CDC's new moratorium is a proper use of its lawful authority to protect public wealth, says the White House. Wow, they're so far off. They don't even understand. The CDC's eviction ban has faced numerous legal challenges, and landlords have criticized it, saying they can't afford to house people for free or shoulder the country's massive rental arrears. On Thursday, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down at least part of New York's eviction moratorium. So once again, we're stuck with a situation where whoever they want to be is controlling you as a landlord. So if you're a landlord and you own a property, hey, too bad. Don't you know that because if you own one property and you're a middle class person and you're making enough money to pay the rent and own your property, well, hey, that's too bad. You're rich, and this guy who rents from you isn't, so it's your fault, and you need to make sure that you house them. That's basically what they're saying. It's not right. All right, we're going to take a commercial right now while I compose myself and get out of my own opinions. We'll see you in about a minute.
Okay, so you've thought about investing in real estate, houses, apartment buildings, properties, but don't really know where to start? Well, what if you could very easily learn how to gain strategies to use other people's money to buy and sell houses in the Philadelphia area? If you could learn and network with successful area real estate investors and how to produce monthly income on rental properties without headaches, that place is Investor Schooling. With Investor Schooling, you'll learn from two Philadelphia area rockstar real estate investors, Phil Falcone and Larry Steinhouse, about how to buy and sell properties the easy way and teach you basic and advanced techniques to help you make money in real estate. You can attend Investor Schooling in person or online visual classes 8 times a month. You can and will learn how to make money in real estate. Call for free information and get a complimentary pass to one of these classes. But don't delay, as these complimentary passes are limited. Call the number on your screen now or visit investorschooling.com. investorschooling.com.
All right, welcome back to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse, and today we were discussing things such as the Dow and S&P have broken records today. We talked about the consumer sentiment falling to the lowest point it's been in the entire pandemic. That's not good, but we also talked about why we should ignore it, at least for the moment. We also talked about the fact that a federal judge decided that the CDC can do what they want with evictions. They can legally tell you that you can evict people from your property. Oy, oy, oy. All right, let's talk a little bit about the federal tax credit. So this is something new. The federal tax credit is basically, just so you understand, the tax credit payments totaling $15 billion were issued to families with 61 million kids in August, the IRS and the Treasury said Friday. So I want to read this sentence again because I found it very funny as I read it. Child tax credit payments totaling $15 billion were issued to families with 61 million kids in August. So that basically means that if you have a family of 61 million kids, if you have 61 million kids, you got $15 billion. That was the way that sentence was written. Anyway, once again, so that basically what's happening is these funds are being deployed to people who have children. Now, I want to explain something to you, because these people have gotten anywhere from $200 to $300 per month per child, depending on their age in July. They started in July. It's once again being deployed today, and every 15th it'll be deployed. Now, some of you are going, whoa, that's just incentive for people to have children and get money. It is, and it isn't. And I want to be clear on this because there's a lot of confusion on this. There used to be a tax credit of $2,000 that you used to get if you had children. And everybody was cool with it. They just said, hey, listen, this is cool. I don't have to pay taxes on $2,000 of the money I get. I don't have to pay $2,000. It's a complete tax credit, so you don't have to pay any taxes on it. You get the money back. You actually get $2,000. So in other words, if you owed $10,000 in your tax return, you only owed $8,000 because you got a tax credit of $2,000. So here's what's happening. Now they raised the tax credit up to $3,600 per family, per child. And how that works is instead of you getting it at the end of the year, when you file your tax return, you can get a payment now for it. Now, if you don't qualify for this at the end of the year, you still have to pay it back. It's no different than the ACA, the Obamacare payments that you were getting on health insurance. So keep in mind that this isn't, look, some people may say it's a handout. It's not. It's just an advance of your tax credit. So the money's not a handout. Whether you believe there should be a tax credit or not, that's something completely different. But it's just an advance on a tax credit. And here's a good thing about this. Remember all this money that you pay into the government every week or every other week or every month out of your paycheck, that they borrow that money for free, and then at the end of the year, if they owe you money back, they don't give it to you with any interest? Well, as far as I'm concerned, this is the interest. Now I'm getting to borrow money from the government interest-free with this, and also, by the way, Obamacare or ACA, and I get to borrow that money for free, and I have to pay it back at the end of the year without interest. So it's not such a bad thing. Now, here's the only problem. The enhancements are temporary and will end after this year unless Congress extends the timeline. Senate Democrats' $3.5 trillion budget framework, which, by the way, was the infrastructure. Once again, politicians have hidden their agenda inside another agenda. So the enhancements are temporary and will end after this year's, unless Congress extends the timeline. Senate Democrats' $3.5 trillion budget framework, which passed this week on a party line vote, would extend the enhanced credit but doesn't specify a duration. So a couple of things here is, one, they snuck it in there, and that's okay. I'm okay with them passing it, but it has nothing to do with infrastructure. The second part that you need to understand is they didn't specify a duration, which means it could go to the end of this year or it could go on forever, and either one is fine with me. Actually, to be honest with you, I like the idea of the government giving money back to people early, so I'm okay with it either way, but it would be nice if they said how long it was going to happen for. All right, let's go into the next topic, which is unemployment fraud. Unemployment fraud is kind of interesting. The Labor Department is offering $240 million in grants to states to help fight ongoing attempts to steal unemployment benefits. Now, I own a couple of companies, and I actually noticed something interesting that happened to me this year that's never happened to me before. I've gotten forms from the unemployment office saying, hey, John Smith is filing for unemployment, and they say they work for you. I've never heard of John Smith. And it didn't just happen once, it probably happened a half a dozen times this year between all the companies I own. And I was shocked to see that this was really going on. It's insane that people are actually finding companies that may or may not respond. I'm not sure how they find the companies who may or may not respond. They may think, hey, this guy's a small company, he might not even open his mail, and then they would be approved for unemployment. I don't know how it's working, but I'm finding it fascinating that we're getting these letters. Fraud has been elevated since spring of 2020 when federal lawmakers expanded unemployment benefits during the COVID pandemic. Well, think about this. Hey, if I can get unemployment, or if anybody can get unemployment, whether it's fraud or not fraud, they get an extra, they used to be $600, now they get an extra $300 a week in unemployment benefits. So hey, let's try to steal that money from the government is what they're thinking. Makes sense, right? The funding is part of a broader $2 billion effort to improve the U.S. unemployment system. So the $240 million, they want to be able to use it to chase people who are committing unemployment fraud. What we're seeing now is really terrifying, said Michelle Evermore, a senior policy advisor for unemployment insurance at the Labor Department. She continued, fraud has gotten so big. Well, you've also sit there and said, hey, listen, if you commit crimes, you're not going to go to jail, so this is an easy crime too. The Labor Department's Office of Inspector General estimates about $87 billion in benefits may ultimately be paid improperly. $87 billion being paid improperly. A significant portion due to fraud, while pandemic-era programs are intact. By the way, these programs are slated to end September 6th. I wouldn't be surprised if the CDC, because they are the authority, of course, says, hey, you need to extend these unemployment benefits. I didn't say that they created them. I was being a little bit of sarcastic there. All right. The other thing that's going on, too, is COVID vaccine mandates in job listings jumped by 34% as Delta variant sparks surges in virus cases. I saw this the other day, and I was shocked. I actually saw a listing for a job that said, and it was a simple job. It wasn't like a healthcare worker job. It was an office job. I don't remember what it was. And it said, must be vaccinated. And I was shocked by this. I was like, how do you put that in a job listing? Can you actually put that in a job listing? I could almost understand if it's a healthcare worker, but I found this in a typical everyday basic job offering that said you must be vaccinated. I was shocked. The share of job posts that require a COVID vaccine were up 34% on August 7 when compared to the prior month, according to data from Indeed. Other jobs ads aren't specific. They ask for vaccination without explicitly mentioning COVID. These listings are up 90% over the same period. So they're not saying you must be vaccinated for COVID. They're saying you must be vaccinated. Whatever, okay? They didn't mean the polio vaccine. It's apparent they mean COVID-19, according to Ann Elizabeth Conkle, an economist at the Indeed hiring lab who authored the analysis. Now, this is interesting, too. Despite a big percentage in growth, the overall number of job posts mandating applicants to have a vaccine is still relatively small. In the software development sector, for example, about 438 jobs out of every 1 million listed that they required a vaccine. That represents an increase, believe it or not, of over 10,000 from the prior 3.5 posts per million that did so in February, according to Indeed. The CDC panel unanimously voted to suggest vaccine boosters for all those with compromised immune system on a different topic. So basically, that came out today too. The CDC is saying, listen, if you're a compromised immune system, then you should get your vaccine. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go over to take a look at this video. I want you to see this because my partner, Phil Falcone, is giving away his Z4. Anybody want a free Z4 convertible? You know, this has got to be the easiest contest to ever enter. And take a look at the details right now.
Hey, if you were listening to Investor Schooling Live today, I'm Phil Falcone, and I made the decision today on air that I'm going to be giving away this car. You want to take a look at it? Let's do it. How would you like to pop your top without ever getting out of the car? Huh? It's pretty cool. You can do it at a red light. You can do it when you see it rainy. You can actually even do it when you're driving, as long as you don't go maybe faster than 10 miles an hour. So I am giving away this car. Why? Is it because I'm crazy? Is it because I'm rich? Is it because of both? Take your pick. I don't care. Let me tell you about the car. We're going to have a contest. We're looking for real estate investors to go to our website and give us a real estate tip. And you can have people that you know vote on the site about which real estate tip is the most quality, most valuable to them. So let's just say that our contest is going to be looking for quality real estate tips and for votes. So you need to get your friends, your family, people who care about you, and real estate investors who are willing to go on the site and vote for it. And I will give you this car.
Welcome back to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse, and today we've been talking about how the Dow and S&P have broken records. We talked about consumer sentiment being low. We talked about the fact that a federal judge decided that it's okay for the CDC to prevent evictions. We talked about the federal tax credit. We talked about unemployment fraud. And we talked about the COVID vaccine job mandates inside the applications. I wanted to go into something that we don't normally talk about, which is the Taliban seized 2 of Afghanistan's largest cities. So why am I talking about the Taliban and why am I talking about Afghanistan? What does that have to do with the stock market? Well, if a war breaks out, the stock market is typically affected by it. So just be careful that this is, believe it or not, it's a footnote in the news right now because the only thing in the entire news is COVID, 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 COVID. So war breaking out in Afghanistan is not that important, and the Taliban is seizing Afghanistan is not that important to normal people. But to me, I know that this is something not only is it important, but it's important not only is it important to the world, but it's important to the stock market. The Taliban captured the major Afghanistan cities of Kandahar and Herat, NBC News reported. Insurgents have rapidly seized control of large swaths of Afghanistan just weeks before the U.S. is set to complete its withdrawal of troops there. Look, I'm a big fan of pulling our troops out of Afghanistan. I'm just not a big fan of the outcome and what's going to happen. So maybe it was done too fast, maybe it was done wrong. I don't know. I'm not a politician. I'm not a general. I don't really know. I just know it's going to be a little scary. So President Joe Biden's administration ordered this week that 3,000 troops be temporarily deployed to the capital to help evacuate the embassy personnel. So they're sending people there to protect them. The insurgents have now seized at least half of Afghanistan's 34 provincial capitals, taking control of roughly 2/3 of the nation and encircling Kabul, where the U.S. Embassy is preparing to evacuate all but its core diplomatic personnel. Look, it is what it is. Just watch it. Watch the news. Watch this weekend. See if anything bad happens. But I got to be honest with you. This is something you need to pay attention to because it really could cause a drop in the stock market. That could actually be the catalyst. All right, a couple of things today. First of all, Coinbase recovered a bit today along with Robinhood. Robinhood also went up a little bit today. My favorite pick is still Robinhood. I'm telling you right now, Robinhood is a play. If we could get Robinhood, every time Robinhood goes below 50, if you have the money, add to some shares. It is not a great call play at the moment because it's just too expensive, but watch for it. I'm going to tell you the other thing is Alibaba is still disappointing me. It's actually surprising that it just keeps going down. I'm expecting it to come back. I'm expecting it to go over 200, but I think it's just getting beat up by bad rumors as well as, just fears that China is going to take it down. I'm looking forward to drop another 5 or 6 points, and I may actually add to it again. So today, once again, was Friday the 13th. I'm pretty excited about Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th is a pretty exciting day, and some good things have happened to me on Friday the 13th, so maybe it'll continue to happen to me. I'll let you know on Monday what great things happened. So I want to thank you once again for watching Money Chat Now. I am your host again, Larry Steinhouse. By the way, from time to time, I own some of the assets and options discussed in this show. The opinions discussed on this show are solely mine, and no one has asked me to discuss them. Thank you for watching Money Chat Now. We look forward to your continued support. Please, please, please like and share. Tune in tomorrow and make sure that you comment so I know you like the show. Take care. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.